Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Let's get ready to rumble! Seattle's got to make a stop. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to throw it back to Goff! Who had that on the bingo card? Touchdown Lions!
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here first.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Main Event Football Show. It is I, Main Event Mike. It's Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That means it's time for the main event. We are broadcasting live into the Huddle Sports Network on Roku TV. We're also broadcasting live into the Main Event Facebook page. This is what the page looks like. Please go over there and give us a follow. We're starting from scratch. We're trying to get back in the game. So it's called the Main Event. Get over there and give us a follow. We're also broadcasting live into the 360 Radio Network, 360radionetwork.com. They play a lot of local Michigan music, a lot of really cool rock and roll music if you like rock music. Also, there's some hip-hop rap that they play on there, and they're also broadcast our show, so we really appreciate them as well. Also, broadcasting live into the Motor City Kneecap Biters. Big thanks to Jeremy B. over there on YouTube and Facebook. Let's get right into it, guys. It is the 12th of May, May the 12th, so that means that we are in this strange period where there's not a lot going on in the NFL, except that this year, the NFL has bumped up the schedule release, and it's usually been like a surprise. I was on this program last Monday telling everybody, well, I think it's going to be the 23rd. Well, they come out like the next day and give an official release date of the 14th. So on Wednesday, we are going to get the schedule. We already know who the Lions will be playing. We just need to know where and when. And we are looking at this opponent list here for the Detroit Lions. You can see home, away. A lot of the speculation this week by the national media was that the Lions would open in Philadelphia against the champion Eagles. I think that's the matchup everybody probably wants to see. But there's been a leak saying that it's going to be the Dallas Cowboys in Lincoln Financial Field. So their division rival have to stand there on the sideline and watch them raise the banner, like sticking a dagger in their heart, dump a little salt in the wound. Why don't you? And that's the leak. So I don't know if this leak is true. We hear there's so much disinformation on the internet. You know, who can believe it? It did not come from NFL.com to my knowledge. I didn't get a notification from the league about it. So I don't think that's if you subscribe to NFL.com and set up your notifications, you can find out at the same time as everyone else. All these brilliant podcasters. That's the inside secret. I'm giving it away right there. So I did not get that Dallas is going to be the opener. And we know the NFL tends not to have division opponents in the opening game. What we do know is that the Detroit Lions are going to play on July 31st, which is the Hall of Fame game, the preseason game. And it would really be shocking for them to play the very first preseason game and then also play the very first regular season game. We know that the kickoff game is always on a Thursday night, and it's always a home game for the defending Super Bowl champion. So we know it's going to be Philly in Philly. We just don't know who they're going to play yet. I want Philly week one. I was looking forward to that being the announcement. So if we're on the road, I really can't. Take a look at this with me, folks, and please put it in the comments. I want to hear your opinions on it. We're also going to have a special guest on the show tonight. So I'm going to get varying opinions from everyone. Just don't be shy. Put it in the comments. Really want to hear what you got to say. Who do you want to see week one? So if it's not going to be Philly on the road, it could be a home game. Now, I'm going to rule out division games just based on the way the NFL has been scheduling the North the last 2 years. The last 2 years, we have not opened with division opponents. 2 years ago, it was Kansas City. Last year, it was the Rams. Both of those teams on this schedule as well. So I kind of rule them out. And if it is going to be Philly and Dallas, then that leaves Washington and Baltimore. Think about that. Commanders, a repeat of the divisional playoff game, or the high-powered Baltimore Ravens, the two number one ranked offenses in the league, Baltimore and Detroit. Wouldn't that be some must-see TV? That's just if the Lions are on the road. If they're at home, Dallas, if they don't play Philly, Dallas at home for an opener would be amazing. Doubt that's what it'll be. Tampa Bay, one of the only teams to beat the Lions last year. It's my fault because I went to the game, so there you go. My bad. So the Buccaneers at home, Giants or the Browns or the Steelers. Steelers is intriguing. Tomlin and Brian Daboll also for the Giants. They're good friends of Dan Campbell's. Very tight with him. So I could see that at least maybe even joint practices between these two teams, maybe. But normally you don't do a joint practice with a team that's on your schedule. So, yeah, scratch that. Let's look at the comments before I keep rambling on anymore. Davey, good evening, One Pride Davey. GRE on the West Coast. What up, gents? Donkey Kong, my man, in the house. Brad Holmes, best GM in the world. Agreed. From one homer to another. That's Holmer. Homer. One homer to another. Best GM in the league. We're definitely going to talk about that today. Greg says, I'm not worried we didn't get an opening game. I'm actually glad we got a new staff practically under Campbell. Let the Eagles face America's team. So, Greg, you think it's true then? You think this is a true leak? And on Wednesday, we are going to see Philadelphia at home against Dallas. Wow. Okay, what else we got? Any other answer than Howie Roseman is the best GM in the NFL is unacceptable. I can't argue with you, man. I can't. If Brad Holmes would have even made it to a Super Bowl the last 2 years, I would argue against it. But Howie Roseman's been to 2 Super Bowls in the last 3 years and has 1 trophy to show for it. So he is the chess master right now. He's the man to beat. But Brad Holmes is definitely in the conversation, and I know you agree with that, Greg. So there you go. Put it in the comments. I want to hear what you got to say. What do you like as an opening game here for the Lions this year? When Wednesday comes out, look, the schedule comes out on Wednesday. It's one of my favorite days of the year. I love to break it down because I'm a nerd, and I analyze it, and I look at it, and I say, oh, it's a 2-game road trip here. It's 3 in a row at home here. And you start to kind of visualize what this season is going to be like, and it just gets you all hyped up to then be crushed in January. So that's how the cycle goes. But speaking of cycles, we're going to bring in a friend of mine now who is an independent filmmaker, and he's a pretty knowledgeable football fan too. He's also the host of a new show that's going to be on the Huddle Sports Network on Roku TV, and the name of that show is the NFC North Open Mic. Little trash talk show. If you want to get in there and put your piece in, you can join my man right here. His name is Chad Datema. What's up, Chad?
Savone Vaki, MVP.
Savone Vaki, MVP. All right, I scratch that, folks. Maybe he don't know football. Moving on. I like it, though. I mean, hey, is Vaki, now that Ben Johnson's not here, we know that Vaki was Ben Johnson's pick. That's such a great call-out, Chad. Do you think Vaki still figures into the plans here for the Lions?
He's still on the team.
He's still on the team. Is he still, fourth on the depth chart behind Craig Reynolds?
Yeah, but he also plays safety, so you never know what's going on there.
Right. Who's that fella in the background there?
Oh, that's Boris. Hi, Boris.
That's Boris?
Yeah, and then there's Natasha, the evil Russians from Rocky.
Oh, Boris and Natasha.
Yeah.
Wait till I see the squirrel. Yeah. All right. What up, Mike? What up, Broski Bear in the house? Broski, I got to tell you, man, Ben Johnson, sheesh. Look, we as Lions fans cannot sit here and look in the mirror, Chad. We can't look in the mirror and say that the Bears don't have the best play caller in the division right now. We said it for 2 years, pounded our chests, even though Matt LaFleur and Kevin O'Connell are two of the top 5 play callers in the whole league. We still, as Lions fans, insisted that Ben Johnson was the best play caller in the North. We have no choice now but to take our medicine and say that the Bears have the best play caller in the division. Do you agree with that statement?
I believe that Johnson was definitely a top 3 to 5 play caller, maybe even number 1, arguably. But also he's going into a different system with different players. Are they going to buy in? Now he's the head coach. Now he's got a play caller. I mean, I wish him the best of luck, but we don't know how he's going to be. You know, he's what, is he the youngest head coach in the NFL right now, or one of? And yeah, he's talented. He's creative. Well, I could never take that from him. And he's got a very mobile quarterback also. So who knows what he's going to do with that.
They've made some good upgrades in the offseason, I think, as well. It still remains to be seen what's going to happen with Keenan Allen. There are some wide receiver needy teams out there right now that could take him away, but I think they're all set up anyway, especially with the drafting Colston Loveland to pair with Cole Kmet. They're going to have a nice duo there in 12 personnel with 2 tight ends. So,
but another thing though, Mike, is they have the worst run game in the NFC North. So.
Right. Well,
that is a fact.
One thing begets the other, though. If they can get that play action game going, get the pass opened up, that'll soften up the middle for the run, especially with a big tight end. Big tight end across the middle, that'll soften up the run game. Trust me on that. And besides that, Roschon Johnson's a good, hard, young runner. Doesn't have a lot of miles on him. He played behind Bijan Robinson in college, so he's really got low miles coming out of a big school like Texas. So you look at Roschon, and then you look at DeAndre Swift, who spent enough time on the IR to cut down his mileage as well. So I don't think their running game's as bad as people make it out to be. Broski, I want to hear your opinion on your running game in Chicago, please. Let me know what you think. This is a Lions show, but we love to talk about the NFC North because we're kind of nerds around here about scheduling and divisions and things like that.
Broski's sitting there thinking, I wish we never got rid of Demo.
A lot of Bears fans regret that for sure. Chad, take a look at this graphic for me. And I want you to pick me a team if it's going to be a home opener, and I want you to pick me a team if it's going to be an away opener, operating under the assumption that the Eagles and the Cowboys are going to play on week 1.
Well, I think KC would be very interesting. I think Washington would be interesting. I think Green Bay would be interesting.
I like it. But I'm asking for a prediction from you and from the audience. I want you to take a look at this graphic and predict one for me. Who do you think it's going to be? I'm going to go ahead and get it started. I think it's going to be an away game in Washington.
Okay. I'm going to say away. Well, I'm going to say it's going to be a away game at KC.
So a repeat of 2022 or 2023, excuse me.
See, they're already the 2 Super Bowl teams, so they're going to have what we think is Philly playing Dallas, then the loser of the Super Bowl, KC, playing the team that everybody wanted to see play Philly.
Right. KC Washington would be interesting. I mean, I like the home games. I think we can win every one of those games at home.
I think we're going to lose one NFC North. We're going to lose. I see us going 4-2 in the North this year.
4-2 in the North.
Yeah.
Okay. 6-0 last year in the North.
5-1 the year before.
5-1 the year before. So that's pretty impressive. You know, by the way, the Lions were undefeated on the road last year. Okay, undefeated. They lost both home games. Both their losses were home games.
So it's a playoff loss.
I want to see Washington. I want to see what it would have been like had we had those defensive players in the game. And I don't care if it's on the road or home. I want the Commanders. That'll be a head-to-head. when it comes down to seeding at the end of the year. So that one's actually going to have some importance. And Dan Campbell and Dan Quinn are going to have both of those teams ready. Going to be very interesting to see what happens on Wednesday when that schedule does come out. All right. Got some comments in here about Brad Holmes. He says, drop the StreamYard link and I'll call in. Damn, I don't know how to do that, bro. I'm a rookie at this. I just talk.
Just copy and paste it.
Broski says, oldest coaches are Pete Carroll, Andy Reid. Youngest coaches are Ben Johnson, Mike McDonald in Seattle, and Moore at 36.
Mm-hmm.
Who's Moore? Who's the
Kellen Moore.
Kellen Moore, the new coach in New Orleans. That's right. Okay. Good stat there, broski. Drop the stream link. Here we go. I can do the old invite.
Who needs a stat checker? We got Broski Bear out there in the chat.
Yeah, I got this. I'm not a dummy. Bam, there it is. No matter what platform you're watching on. It just came in. Oh, Broski says 2 Bears games have been leaked in Philly on Black Friday. Bears at home versus Packers Saturday before Christmas.
Great. There's going to be
at home versus Packers before Christmas. And then in Philly on Black Friday, 1 year to the day of the Hail Mary.
Well,
1 year to the day of the Hail Mary, you got to go into Philly. Goodness gracious.
What about the Lions Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that's going to be home, right? We know that's going to be home. I'll bet that'll be a division game. Last year it was the Bears. The year before it was Green Bay. Might be Minnesota this year, right?
Yep. We know it won't be Dallas because Dallas gets their own.
No, but the NFC East always plays on Thanksgiving too, right? Dallas, New York Giants.
Yeah.
So that would be a possibility too. It's probably Vikings or Giants is where I would put my money on that one. But, I got to caution you here, broski. I want to take you back 1 year ago, right around this time, when there were leaks about the schedule and turns out they weren't true. When the schedule came out, it was a big psych. And here's another thing. The owners have their final meeting of the year, May 21st in Orlando. That'll be all 32 owners sitting in one table. And they will finalize the rule change proposals that have been tabled from the first meeting, including the tush push. Last year and the year before, the schedule release coincided to be after that date. So it's really even surprising that they're releasing this schedule ahead of time. So I just don't see the truth in it yet, unless it's come from an official Bears site.
You think they'll ban
it? Let me in. There we go. There we
All
go.
right.
Welcome to the program, Broski Bear.
Main Event Mike, man. We've had so many conversations over the last year or two. It's good to finally get on a live with you, man.
Very much so, man.
How you doing tonight, Chad?
Good. How about you, Broski?
Good, man. Doing good. But yeah, I'm with you. Like I don't these leaks until I see the schedule. Like just show me the actual schedule. I mean, there's so many rumors floating around. Who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows? We were speculating earlier today on like week 1 matchups. It does seem like Dallas at Philly is a real thing, and that the Chiefs and Chargers are playing in Brazil, I believe, week 1. So that seems like those are pretty much going to happen. Anything else though, I really don't believe until I see it.
Yep, you're right. Chiefs Chargers. I forgot that is official. So we know then that it's not going to be Lions Chief. We can scratch that one off the board. Now, Broski, I know you're involved with a lot of other fan bases and such. So looking at this Lions schedule, what's your gut tell you the NFL schedule makers are going to lay out for the Detroit Lions?
I mean, they have a lot of tough road games this year. The thing about the Lions was they were a better road team than home team last year. All 3 of their losses came at home. So, I'm not saying like anything derogatory about them playing at home, but hey, those are the facts. That's how it worked last year. I don't think the Lions' offense is really going to be affected that much at all. Honestly, by Ben Johnson leaving. Like most Bear fans will tell you, oh yeah, Lions are going to suck down. No, they're not. Like Goff's a veteran quarterback. He's been around the block. Morton, he's been in the league a long time. I think the offense will be fine. Them reinforcing their trenches in the draft, that was huge.
Yeah.
Freaking huge. So the defensive side of the ball is where it gets me for the Lions, and they might not even have as good a defense as last year, in my opinion. So going to the schedule to answer your question, I don't think they're winning 15 games this year. I don't think they're sweeping the NFC North again this year. I still expect them to win 12 to 13 games.
Interesting. Well, one thing's for sure, that playing against the Bears this year is going to be different for the Lions. That's for sure. Ben built the offense that we run. Now, I know John Morton's the new OC is probably going to tweak it some, but you still got Gibbs. You still got Amon-Ra. Ben knows these guys inside and out. And most importantly, he knows Goff inside and out. He knows what Goff does well and where Goff's weaknesses are better than anyone. So I think playing the Bears is definitely going to be a lot more interesting this year, especially from a Lions perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think two things about the Lions to keep in mind this year is they already came out and said Goff is going to be calling more plays himself. So Goff is going to have more control over play calls. And then also, Goff was the number one. I believe he took most snaps under center of any quarterback in the league last year. He was the number one play action quarterback last year. Mm-hmm. I want to see if that trend continues without Ben Johnson there, because that's something he's bringing to Caleb and the Bears offense now, which I love.
I think it will, Broski. And the reason I say that is because when he was with the Rams, that coming out of college, that was a great part of his game. He was known as a great play action quarterback. So I do think that will continue regardless of who the OC is, because that's just a strong suit of his game. He sells the ball fake better than anyone.
Yeah, and that's definitely something I'd like to see Caleb develop in his game for sure. And hopefully that happens. I mean, and for the Bears too, I haven't been happy with their defense at all the past few seasons under Eberflus. I don't think Eberflus really lived up to the people are like, oh yeah, he coached the defense so well when he took over play calling. Not really. It was a little bit better than it was, but it wasn't on the true Bears level defense. I think the Bears could get back to that level under Dennis Allen this year, between the coaches they hired and players they acquired via free agency and draft. I think there's a chance that the Bears, Packers, and Lions all have a top 10 defense this year.
Wow, that's a hot take right there.
Yeah.
So wait, you're basically saying 3 teams from the North are going to make the playoffs again?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say that because, in my opinion, obviously schedules haven't come out yet. It's gonna be even more difficult, I think, for the Vikings. Their roster is loaded, but again, they're loaded everywhere but one key position, quarterback. We saw it bite them last year. I think it's going to catch up to them this year. I expect them to take a decent step back. Honestly, I think the Bears are around 8 or 9 wins. I think the Vikings are around 8 or 9 wins. So far, I mean, I'm not locking in anything yet, but that's kind of what I'm feeling right now, to tell you the truth.
If you're J.J. McCarthy and you're a rookie quarterback and you come out and win 8 or 9 games, that's amazing.
That's a great first season.
That's right. Yeah. Absolutely.
Bears win 8 or 9 games this year. To me, that's a big step in the right direction, and that's all I'm looking for this year. I'm not coming out talking about, oh yeah, we're winning 13 games. Yeah, we're taking the NFC North. No,
you 10 to 12. I got the Packers at 10 to 12. I mean, that's.
Chad, would you say you have? You said you have the Bears at 10 to 12?
No, I got the Packers at 10 to 12, and I got the Lions at 10 to 12 wins.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that seems. I mean, that's not far off. You know what I mean? From what I'm thinking, that's
players
realistic.
take their biggest jump between year 1 and year 2, and Caleb Williams, if he makes that jump look out. Greg Rice agrees with me. I've been a Caleb believer since the year before he was drafted, when I predicted that Ryan Poles was going at. That's when somebody's asking why did they trade that pick where they Carolina acquired Bryce Young. It's because it was always going to be Caleb Williams for Ryan Poles. That's what I believed. He knew that pick, that trade with Carolina, was going to be really high up in the draft regardless, and he had his eyes on Caleb Williams then. So if he does take that year 2 jump, now with Ben Johnson, an offensive guru, it could be really scary, because the Bears, even though they have had some great pieces on defense already, 2 great linebackers, some great players in the secondary, an all-pro in the secondary, they've got some good pieces on defense. Then they get Montez Sweat. I liked Colston Loveland, but had they drafted another edge from where they were, their draft position in this draft, they could have got an impactful edge to go along that could have went a long way.
DJ Moore's top 10 all day long.
Yeah, and so I think they gave Ben Johnson this offensive pick in this, but I don't know if that was what was best for them. But I like Greg's comment here. It says Caleb has all the tools. Ben will get the best out of him. It doesn't mean there won't be growing pains, but the Bears will have their first respected franchise quarterbacks since forever. And that's a safe take, Greg. The kid's got the most Mahomes-like skill set we've seen coming out of college since Mahomes. So I think it's definitely a possibility. Now, will the Bears do Bears things? Yeah. And will there be some growing pains, what Greg is talking about there? Yeah, but they are on the right track. I like what Ryan Poles has done. Let's face it, the guy had $100 million to start with. So he better have something going on.
And draft pick galore.
So he's made some great moves. I think he's really done it the right way in one sense, but in the wrong way in another sense. He didn't build it through the draft exclusively. He added players to try to keep himself relevant at the time. So he's really done a good job as a GM. He learned from Brett Veach, one of the best in the business. Yeah, Yoli in the house. What's up, Yoli? Welcome to the program. Another thing I want to talk about, guys, I'm going to go ahead and shift gears here, is this week I sent out, since we are coming off the draft, a lot of terms get thrown around, a lot of conjecture thrown around, and the one word you hear a lot at this time of the year is bust. Oh, he's a bust. He's going to be a bust. Oh, he slid to the 5th round. He's already a bust. And it got me thinking, what makes a bust? What makes a player a bust? Can you be a bust? What defines being a bust? So what I did is I did a little questionnaire. I sent out a question to some people, a handful of podcasters and such in our little chat group.
All right.
Some people that really know football and some that really don't. And I got their opinion. Give me the top 3 names when I say the phrase NFL bust. So, Broski, since you weren't in that, I want to pose it to you and to all of you in the comments as well, whatever platform you're watching on. When I say he was an NFL bust, I want you to give me 2 to 3 names, Broski. Who you got?
Well, I'm overwhelmed because I could just stick with Bears players, and I got so many to choose from here.
I want the real first shit that came to your head.
I'm going to go Kevin White, the wide receiver from West Virginia. The Bears drafted in the 1st round. Complete bust. I'm going to go I have to say Mitch Trubisky. I have my Mitch Trubisky draft night story that
you are playing right into my hands, my friend. Yeah. I'll tell you what. I want you to discount any Bears now. Give me the top 3 names that come to your mind when I say bust.
Straight up bust. I'm going to go Jamarcus Russell, because how can't you? Ryan Leaf, how can't you?
Wow, 2 of mine.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of some real.
One more, come on, think.
It's the kid. What was the kid from the Jets? The defensive end. Vernon Gholston? Is that it? Was that the guy I'm thinking of?
No, Vernon Gholston was drafted by the Bucs.
No, not Vernon Gholston. It was the Jets DE they busted. They drafted. God damn.
Well, the top 3 from my poll was Jamarcus Russell, Ryan Leaf, and Johnny Manziel. were the top 3. Also, honorable mention, I did have a couple of Packer fans that I polled, and they picked Tony Mandarich.
Yeah, he's definitely one. Damn, I'm gonna find his name.
And then from Lions fans, we got Charles Rogers and Andre Ware. Now,
Okay.
Broski, you played right into my hands with that, because now I want to ask you, what precludes you from being a bust? You said Mitch Trubisky. Well, Mitch Trubisky is still in the league. I mean, if Josh Allen goes down tomorrow, Mitch Trubisky could step in and win the Super Bowl. Would he then be a bust?
I think it was Vernon Golston who I was referring to. Yeah, because he was drafted by the Jets. Yeah, he was the DN. He was like all freak show, all world, didn't amount to little beans in the NFL.
Is this thing on? Is this thing on?
Yeah, it's on. He's
Mitch.
ignoring you, Mike.
Mitch. Okay, Mitch. Why is Mitch a bust?
Trubisky cannot be a bust yet because he's still playing. It precludes him from being a bust because he is still an active NFL player.
Oh, he a bust. So Mitch Trubisky never developed. Like Mitch Trubisky couldn't read a defense. Mitch Trubisky was possibly the worst red zone quarterback I've ever seen. And honestly, that's probably the worst thing about him. He's just an absolute turnover machine in the red zone. Mitch, he just didn't have the QB aptitude. I don't know what else to say. Like he never learned how to really play NFL quarterback. Like
Bro, he's a backup right now in the NFL. If the starter went down and he stepped in and he won the Super Bowl, would he then still be a bust?
No, he's not Nick Foles. So no, I would. I mean, if he won a Super Bowl, he wouldn't be a bust. But I mean, that's never going to happen.
Well, there you go. So he still has the potential to not be a bust. He still has the opportunity to not be a bust. Therefore, he is not a bust. Right into my hands. So that's
you don't trade
hold
up.
On, let me keep going here. Hold on. So there's number 1. If you are still playing, you cannot be a bust.
No.
Number 2, if you receive a second contract from the team that drafted you, you cannot be a bust. You cannot be labeled a bust if the team that drafted you offers you a second contract. Would you agree with that?
I do.
No,
Thank you, Chad.
I don't agree with that at all.
Well, why they want to pay him?
Well, look at Baker Mayfield. Look at Sam Darnold.
Well, no.
Okay, I'm just saying this precludes you from being a bust. If you ever received those things, and by the way, Baker Mayfield did receive a second contract, didn't he? No, he didn't. You're right.
No, he got signed in the free agent market.
I'm just saying you can't be a bust if the team that drafted you gives you a second contract.
Baker's a damn good quarterback.
Derek Barnes has officially avoided the bust tag for the rest of his career. Ali McNeil, Penei Sewell, they've already passed this marker on the list. You cannot be a bust if you received a second contract from the team that drafted you. Next on that list. Next on that list, and I want to hear your opinion on this one, Broski. You cannot be a bust if you were drafted after the 5th round. So if you're a 6th or 7th round draft pick, you can never be a bust. Do you agree with that?
No.
You could be a busted 6th rounder?
You could be a busted 5th rounder.
There's no expectation for you to bust from.
Well, the draft not too long ago was 12 rounds, wasn't it? So if you put it into perspective, like you're signing about 20 undrafted free agent rookies, plus you have 7 rounds to draft. So in the big scheme of things, yeah, like if you're a 5th or 6th round pick, there's still expectations for you. Even if it's like, hey, we want you to be our 3rd linebacker and special teams ace. You don't live up to that, and you don't get a second contract from that team. You're a bust.
Then why didn't you pick him in the 3rd round?
Well, because when you draft him in the 3rd round, you're drafting for guys who can start.
You make a lot of sense most of the time, but right now
90%. These are actual statistics. I didn't actually pull them out of my butt. 90% of 1st round draft picks make an NFL roster. 65% of 4th round draft picks make an NFL roster.
Exactly.
When you get below the 5th round, it's below 40% that any of those players ever even make a roster for one game. So how can you be a bust if you're one of those That's not a bust.
Because
It precludes you from being a bust if you were drafted after the 5th round. You would still don't agree with that?
No, I don't agree, because if you just said 4th round is 65%, right?
Yeah.
Okay, 5th round it's what, 40%?
65% 4th rounders, 50% of 5th rounders. A 50-50
I mean, dude, that's still a coin flip, man. That's still like you're playing roulette, man. Like,
no, that means they see one play minimum. These guys don't get regular playing time. It's one play, and they're.
I mean, I'm not even going to pull out the argument of all the successful 5th and 6th round picks who become stars of the league. That's not even my point. My point is, like, you still, in the big scheme of things, like, you have 7 rounds to draft and you sign X amount of undrafted free agents. Right? Like, the draft used to be 12 rounds. So really, like, a 6th round pick is more valuable than a lot of people give it credit for. You can get a starting linebacker who can play as a rookie. You can get, like, your second string running back.
All right, so, Mike, will you look up what the average cost for a 6th round linebacker is if you sign him to the team and he's going to start and he's a 6th round pick? What is it, about 1.3 million?
I would not know, Chad. I'd be talking on the side of my neck if I were to venture a guess on that.
It's like about 1.3 million.
However, I do want to make a point to Broski's point, though. I think you're right. Given the way the draft is shortened now, the 6th round pick does have more value. I guess it just comes down to what your definition of a bust is. You like vanilla ice cream. I like chocolate ice cream. You think that you can still be a 6th round bust. I don't think you can be a bust if you're a 6th rounder in today's NFL, because the percentages of making the team is such a long shot that washing out just makes you like everyone else. In fact, even right now, folks, 30% of 1st round draft picks get a second contract with the team that drafted them. So of all 32 draft picks, only about 10 of them are going to make it to a second contract of these 2025 draft picks that we just saw get taken. Only 3 out of 10 are going to get a second contract with the team that drafted them. While all 32 teams with 7 rounds of picks and a few compensatories, you're looking at over 300 draft picks. Less than 30% of those players will ever make it onto an NFL roster and play a game in the NFL. So how can you be a bust? How can you be a bust when the odds to make it are so huge? I'm not a bust. I'm just human.
Because the goal is to not be a bust, right? Like, the goal is to do it. So it's like, if you don't do it, it doesn't matter what the odds are. You're still a bust.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But I was also going to tie something in really quick. 7th round draft pick with expectations and the Bears running game, which you did ask about a little bit earlier. So the Bears drafted a running back in the 7th round. I've never seen a 7th round draft pick with higher expectations for the Bears than this guy they drafted this year. So there is a chance that, like, if he doesn't pan out in the first year or two, like, he will be labeled a bust, and I think rightfully so.
Broski, I've never seen a 7th round draft pick with expectation.
I'll tell you what. You want to look at Kyle Monangai. You watch some of the best highlights of any player in this draft. Look at some Kyle Monangai.
Got the 7th round this year. Can't wait to see him on the practice
Big
squad.
10 first team, baby. They got him in the 7th round.
Come on, be honest, Broski. There is no expectation for round 5 and up. There isn't.
There is, because
you're hoping you can develop a guy. You're not picking this guy and say, you might say.
Let me counter that.
Anything after the 5th round is a dart throw. How can you be a bust on a dart throw?
5th round, Southern Utah, started at left tackle as a rookie, Braxton Jones on the Bears. So he had expectations as a 5th round pick as a rookie at left tackle.
And is he a bust?
I think he is.
Okay.
For sure. Like, he can't anchor. He played like a 5th round pick. Here's the thing. He started games, which typically a 5th round pick wouldn't, at left tackle, especially as a rookie, especially from Southern Utah, right? But he played like a 5th round pick. You know what I mean? It's like, he had the chance to get out there, which most 5th round picks will never get as a rookie, but he played like a 5th round pick, and he still plays like a 5th round pick going into his 4th season. He misses games, gets a ton of penalties, can't anchor. So I'm like, the Bears have been forced to start you, but you're still performing like a 5th round pick falling off. So yeah, to me he's a bust. Yeah, absolutely.
I can't buy it, dude. I'm sorry, broski. You can't call a 5th round pick a bust.
7th round pick, Kaminaga.
Fifth round pick, you can't.
You can't
yeah,
have that expectation to think they're going to be that great.
There is no 7th round anymore.
I mean, he's not Cade McNown, but I'm just saying, like, he's a bust. Like, he had high expectations because when you brag on this, his arm length, he's the prototypical NFL left tackle. We're throwing him out there as a rookie, and then you just play like garbage. Like, you're a bust. Like, sorry.
All right. Well, the final thing that I had on this list is things that can preclude you from being a bust is injury. If you were to receive on or off the field an injury and that shortened your career, can you still be considered a bust?
Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
No,
100%.
Chad says no. Broski says yes. So I already know where Broski stands on the flip side of this. Also, jail. If you go to jail, can you be a bust? Like, as Henry Ruggs is a bust because he went to jail.
Well, I think Henry Ruggs' issues run a little bit deeper than him being a bust. Personally, it's more with him is your soul eternally damned. But that might outweigh it a little bit. But like injuries, stuff like that, like outside, no, that all plays into being a bust, in my opinion. To me, it's no.
Oh, yes. So, in your opinion, an injury can. For Lions fans, Charles Rogers was on this list, listed as a bust. He had 2 back-to-back broken collarbones. But when he was in, he was super productive. But he got 2 crushed collarbones, and he had some personal demons. Rest in peace, Charles Rogers. But
shout out to John Carter.
Then we
but
traded
due
him
to injury is what killed his career. And it's hard for me to define that as a bust.
Mike, and then the Lions were able to trade him to Dallas and get a haul. How is that a bust? We got a haul for Charles Rogers. Jerry Jones loved him. He played for Texas A&M or something like that.
Yeah, but we didn't get back a first-round draft pick for him, which is what it cost us.
No, we got
a top 10 pick, if I'm not mistaken.
We got a bust from that trade.
My prime example of that is Kajana Carter, if you remember him from Penn State.
Bust.
Best running back I've ever seen play live at any level. Injuries. I mean, hey, what are you going to do? He got injured.
He got hit by big boys and he couldn't handle it.
Yeah, I mean, he got roughed up.
He folded up and said, yeah, that's a bust. There you go.
Kevin White, the Bears drafted. Oh, injuries, blah, blah, blah. He's a bust.
No, he was injured. No, Kevin White was talented, injured.
He was a bust.
Greg says, bust label isn't necessarily stamped in facts. It's up to interpretation. And I think that's exactly what we're getting at here. Broski's interpretation of what a bust is different than mine, which is also different than Chad's. And I think this injury/jail component is really a kind of a marker that you can kind of jump on one side of the fence or the other. I don't think you can be a bust if it was an injury that was out of your control, derailed, that's just an unfortunate happening. Jail, I think you can. Going to jail can make you a bust. When you get this contract and you get this opportunity and you squander it by your own actions, you busted. Put in the comments, want to hear what you got to say. Appreciate everyone being on the show today. Don't forget, we are broadcasting live on our own Facebook page. It's The Main Event. I had 65,000 followers a couple months ago. Now I have 533 followers. So I need everyone that can hear my voice to try to follow the page. Give us a little help. We need it. Love all of you and appreciate all of you. We're also broadcasting live on 360radionetwork.com. A lot of great live rock and roll music. Doesn't matter where you live in the country. You can listen to 360 Radio Network. You can also hear my band on that radio station. We appreciate them a whole lot. And we're also broadcasting live into the Huddle Sports Zone on Roku TV. Also, Motor City Kneecap Biters on YouTube and on Facebook. Big thanks to Smoke and Jeremy B for that. Last thing I want to talk about in the last few minutes that we have left is looking at the draft record of Brad Holmes. Now, Broski, I know that you're a Bears guy, but I know that I've heard you even give Brad Holmes compliments as a general manager. But a couple of things that I dug up this week I wanted to bring up. If we now tie that in with a bust, right? What makes a bust? And what precludes you from being a bust? Guess how many busts Brad Holmes has drafted? None. Zero. If you go by the rules that I created there a few minutes ago.
Right, you're right. Sorry.
But, however, 30% of all, less than 30% of all players drafted at all ever make it to an NFL roster.
Our 7th rounders make it.
Brad Holmes has one player in 4 consecutive drafts. He's only got one player that is not rostered in the NFL. That is 28 out of 29 draft picks have all beat those odds and are now rostered in the NFL. All 7 from his very first class in 2021, not only are they rostered, but 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them have been offered second contracts. Levi Onwuzurike and Jermar Jefferson, the only 2 that are not under that umbrella of being offered a second contract already. That's a pretty impressive. Out of all 7, they're all under contract. Ife Melifonwu, part of that class, he was given a 1-year, $4 million deal by the Dolphins. Derek Barnes just signed an extension. Penei Sewell, of course, Willie McNeil, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, we know.
No,
Go ahead.
6th round Rodrigo. What about Rodrigo?
That was in the next round. I'm glad you brought it up. That's in 2022, where he had 8 draft picks.
Yep.
Kirby Joseph in the 3rd round's already been offered a second contract. Aiden Hutchinson, who will be offered a second contract.
5th year.
And Jameson Williams.
5th year
Rodrigo, Pascal, James Mitchell, who is now currently on the roster with the Carolina Panthers. James Houston, who is currently on the roster with the Cleveland Browns. And Chase Lucas in the 7th round, currently on the roster with the San Francisco 49ers. So all 8 of his draft picks from 2022 are currently rostered. Remember, less than 30% of drafted players ever make it onto a roster at all. 7 out of 10 are out of the league. Brad Holmes is damn near batting 1,000 with his drafting. It's amazing. We look ahead to the next year, 2023. You're looking at Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch, Hendon Hooker. Here's where it starts to get dicey. Broderick Martin, Colby Sorsdahl. Will these guys be in the league?
They're on the team.
Antoine Green. He is the one player.
He's off.
He is not on any roster. I saw Brad Holmes, 28 out of 29. He's the 29th guy. Antoine Green was waived with an injury designation by the Lions.
Yep.
Any comments on any of this so far, Chad?
No, you're dead on, dude. Dead on.
Then we get 2024, of course, Arnold Rakestraw, Giovanni Manu, the aforementioned Vaki, Makai Wingo, and Christian Mahogany. They're all still on the team. In fact, if you look around at stats and look at how many draft picks are even still on the team that drafted them within 2 years, it really makes this stand out what a job this guy's doing. Now, I was talking about this to someone, and you know what they told me was, yeah, the Lions sucked so bad. The cupboard was so bare that even these guys now are foundational pieces because he tore it down to the studs, man.
As we give away 3 third-round draft picks to get the guy Brad wants.
Yep. Well, there aren't a lot of holes on this team anyway.
No, there's not.
What's the point of drafting 2 more guys in the 6th and 7th round?
Was one. We needed another wide receiver. We really did.
Those were 3rd round picks that he gave up to move up for that guy.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, this guy has real bust potential if he doesn't, live up to that 3rd round drafting. Broski, what do you think about those numbers I gave you about the Lions general manager?
So I think Brad Holmes, his first, 3 seasons, did an amazing job in the draft. My favorite pick that he did was Jahmyr Gibbs. I was calling him like the next Jamal Charles / like Chris Johnson type player. He traded up and got him. Everyone thought that was moronic. I thought it was terrific. I love the Gibbs pick. Overall, Brad Holmes, I mean, that's how he built the team. You know, he was good with the salary cap and he made good draft picks, and that's, you know, commendable. I think he whiffed on last year's draft almost completely. I'll give him a pass because he's had so many good drafts up until then, and I think he had a good draft this year. So, you know, the Manu and the Vaki picks, I mean, okay, they were fourth-round picks, I believe, but you could have gotten much better players there. The Rakestraw pick, very Arnold, wait and see. Like, Arnold, I'm not, you know, knocking that. I think it's very difficult to be a rookie corner and play as much as he did. We'll see what he has year 2. Mahogany, you know, he seems like he could be a good backup. But
he played a couple of games last year and he held his own. He absolutely did. At a 6th-round pick.
I don't know. The Wingo pick, Mahogany even. It's like the 2 guards you drafted in this draft are both better than Mahogany, for sure. And I'm not knocking Mahogany, but yeah, I mean, honestly, overall though, like, not knocking Brad Holmes because that's how he built the team. He built the team the right way. Like, I'll give him that.
He played for a school you can't even name. What do you know about Mahogany?
Well, just what I've seen in the NFL.
They drafted him on his character and everything. He played for a school that didn't even play any competition.
They had to put him in like a mental ward. They had to put him in a mental ward when they drafted him. He had some like psych issues or something, right?
Yeah, he had a 3rd-round grade.
And he went in what, the 5th or?
Because
he was a 6th-round draft pick, Christian Mahogany in the 6th round. Yeah. And we got Makai Wingo, who got injured at the end of the season last year, but he made the team. He was on the starting 53-man roster. He never hit the practice squad. He was a rotational defensive lineman. What do you expect in the 5th round on a stacked team? So if he hadn't got injured, he'd have got significant playing time since we were beat up all along the defensive line at the end of the year. I mean, he was a guy that would have got a lot of playing time at the end of the year had he not got injured himself. And maybe your opinion of that pick would have been different. He's still on the team, is my point. A lot of teams draft guys in a year or 2 later, they're just not even on the practice squad. They're gone. They've replaced them with better players.
Again, I'm not knocking Brad Holmes. Like, he made years of tremendous draft picks. He literally did. So I'm not knocking him. Just thought last year's draft wasn't a good one.
No, I hear what you're saying.
Listen to me. Hang on, broski. Who are we going to draft? We needed an edge rusher. There wasn't one there. We drafted for where we could barely use a person. We are so full. Our depth is beyond anything.
Well, he's talking about last year, Chad, with Terrion Arnold and Rakestraw, who hardly saw the field. Giovanni Manu, who's a developmental player. I mean, he's got a legit point that of all these drafts, last year was probably his weakest draft.
Really, we filled the secondary,
and that's his only point. Would you agree with that? I mean, I would agree with that.
Filled the secondary.
So far, the 2024 draft has been his weakest. But if Rakestraw turns into a frontline starter, if Mahogany or Wingo, one of these guys, turns into a frontline starter, we'll be singing a different tune about this in 3 years.
And they're still on the team.
Yeah, right. And he still could have. I mean, here's the thing: you're not going to address every single need that you perceive as a need going into the draft, like positional need, like being a fan. You know what I mean? Like these guys, they have their own boards. All the GMs, they have their own way they rank their players and whatever. He still could have drafted a defensive end. Like, he didn't need to trade up. He's like, I tried to trade up and there was nothing there, so we couldn't draft him. You could have stayed where you were and drafted one too. Let's not forget that.
That is exactly what he said.
You know what I mean? So that's why I don't like how fans will be like, oh wow. Go ahead,
Chad. Did you have something?
Yeah, and I'm seeing our draft graded this year. I'm seeing D's and F's.
Yeah.
I mean, really?
Yeah.
For our draft this year, where we had to pick, how are we D and F?
Right. Well, part of my notes actually on all the research I did here was it was that from The Athletic who gave us an F. That's what spurred all of this research. And what I did is I went through and I got the NFL's grade on the draft for the Lions in every year of Brad Holmes' regime. And in 2023, which was Jahmyr Gibbs, Laporta, Branch, Jack Campbell, they gave us a C+ for that draft. Mm-hmm. So that just goes to the point we're just making in 3 years. I mean, that's when you should be evaluating a draft, is 3 years later, not 3 days later from the draft, because we don't know what's going to happen, who's going to be a bust and who's not going to be a bust. We are running out of time here. I'm running my mouth. Big thanks to everybody that's in the comments. Eric Whitson, go Lions. Greg Royce says Roy Williams was good. Yeah, he was a good basketball coach for North Carolina. Motown Mitch says, what up, Doe? Lions rule, Bears drool. Just dropping in for a second to drop a like. You boys have a good night, except you, broski. You, sir, have a great night.
Shout out Motown Mitch.
Well, shout out to Motown Mitch. Thanks, everyone, for joining. We'll be back again next week at 7 p.m. Eastern time to do the main event. Thanks to Chad Datema and Broski Bear for being on the show tonight. Be sure to follow us at The Main Event on Facebook. My name is Main Event Mike. God bless each and every one of you. Good night.